Hello, hello, guys. Shawnee here at Beautyink, and I'm so excited. Oh, I love presents. They're so the best in the whole world. This one is special delivery, which is super, super exciting. Special delivery from Stacie-Rae, Nickelback, which is an Areola tattoo. Let me see if I have any here. They're a tattoo. I bet you there's probably some in here. I'm going to just see if there's some in here. So Stacie was really sweet. She's made these new flyers so that we can give them to our clients and share about areola tattooing. So I am part of the A.R. team, the A.R.T team, the A.R.T heart team. And Stacie-Rae is the founder, and she has been one that has pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed so that we can get realistic areola tattooing out there. She is truly a pioneer in the field, and I really think that she deserves the credit and the accolades for all the work that she has done within the industry. It's been amazing. So she sent me this package up from the States, and I'm super excited. I told her that I was going live, so I'm hoping that she's going to come and hop on here so that we can chat a little bit about our world and what we do with A.R.T. So I'm trying to thank you so much, guys, for tuning in. I hope you're doing well. Tell me what part of the world you are commenting from so that we can say a shout out, hello to you. Hola. Are we from Mexico? Oh, we got her here. Okay, awesome. So we're going to bring her up on stage. And, well, stage, that's my new lingo because of Clubhouse. We're going to bring her up, and she is connecting, and we are going to talk about this. So I'm so excited. So I'm going to do this little unveiling because this is a big thing. So everyone, welcome Stacie-Rae. She is the founder of A.R.T, Areola 3D Restorative Tattooing. She has been a tattoo artist for what, 15, 20 years? How many years?
Last Monday was my 25th anniversary.
Tattoo artist, converted areola artist, survivor, and pioneer.
Previvor.
Thank you for the clarification. And you can tell us a little bit about your story before I open this amazing package and we get to show everybody what we got going on here.
Okay. Hi, everybody. I have a feeling that most of you guys probably already know who I am, but I'm a body tattoo artist. I'm one of Canada's first professional female tattoo artists. I've been in the industry since 1989, and cancer came into my world in about 2006, and my mother got diagnosed with ovarian cancer. And when she died, we found out that she was diagnosed with BRCA1. So the Canadian Cancer Society asked me to go and get tested for BRCA, which stands for breast cancer, and I also am BRCA1 positive, so I started going to diagnostics right away, and they found a mass. I was about 32, and they found a big mass, so they're like, we're going to recommend that you do a preventative mastectomy. They were sending me for MRIs every 4 months. I said, I'm a powerful manifester. If I'm just waiting, you're just waiting. But I'd already been tattooing for 15 years, so I was like, oh, there's got to be somebody out there doing realistic nipples that's awesome. And nobody was. There was no temporary nipples. There was no realistic nipples. So I started taking some PMU training, and I just flipped the whole thing on its head and created an entirely new way. And Shauna joined the team in 2016, was it?
Yeah. So I was one of the first ones you've trained here in BC, which is super exciting. How many people now do you have in BC? I know there's at least 6 in the Lower Mainland now.
I think it's about 6.
Yeah. So, and it's great. It's, you know, and your technique, now I've trained in 4 different modalities of areola tattooing, and your technique is very different than all the other trainings. And I've since noticed, since your technique came on board, that all the other techniques have kind of morphed more your way, showing the glands and the wrinkles and creating the texture. And, you know, you really have paved the way for areola tattooing and really shown the industry what it takes to achieve a natural looking tattoo, which is so, so exciting. So thank you so much for everything that you're doing for our
Thank
industry.
you. Yeah, thank you for honoring that. So I drew horses when I was a kid. So I grew up doing kind of like more realism, and I won a bunch of awards for my realism drawings. And so I was already doing these realistic sketches of horses and hot rods and portraits. And like I said, I won some awards. I won like 4 or 5 awards for my realistic drawings. So I was like, this is an easy translation if you understand the language. So I just started showing the PMU world what the language was, because I come from, I specialize in tattooing scar tissue since the 90s.
Right? Oh, sorry, I'm just getting all
Go
excited.
ahead. Bring it
You
on.
really put a package together here for me, love. Thank you so, so much. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. So this is everything. This is what we've got in here. So I'm seeing, okay, some beautiful stickers that will go on my metal door. I'm going to love these, and these are going to go all over. I stick stickers on all my filing cabinets, so this is amazing. Thank you so much for the beautiful stickers. This is a badge of honor for me. It took me a long time to get to this point where I'm able to do a realistic tattoo that qualifies for your standards. You have the highest standards out of any of the trainers that I've been with, and it was really, really tough. And I want to thank you for that, because you pushed me over and over again. Every time I drew something, you're like, oh, you could do this, 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 and this. I incorporated it. It's gotten better. So I can honestly say I can pull off a tattoo, I think, that looks pretty realistic now, which is, you know, great. And I really appreciate that. So these temporary, what these are, I got to show you these. These are so exciting. And you've come up with so many new ones. So these are basically a temporary tattoo that women survivors or men survivors. Are you doing any that are men's yet?
Yeah, you've got a pair of the Joes in there. I sent you some of the Joes.
Oh, awesome. Okay. And they're all extremely different. So you will see that other companies are copycatting this, right? It's going to happen. It happens everywhere. Whenever you're a pioneer, people see it and it's out in the world and everybody copies it. But they're not this style, like with the amount of detail that these guys come in. Like you can see right up there. Look at the texture and the little, oh, there's the Jobs right there. They're called the Joe.
That's the J. So that is a petite one. It's small. It could be used for a male, but we have one that's more oval shaped.
This one?
That's the one, yeah.
Oh, awesome. So, and these would be used for a man or a woman. And these particular, you know, they come in all Fitzpatrick types, which a lot of them don't. And some of them just look like a standard, like, stamp. So these look very natural. And you can use this if you're an areola artist. You can give these to your clients and then use them as a guide. And I think this is, now I haven't taken your online class, but don't you have templates that you can also purchase for artists to use that go along with these that match so that they have the template?
So since you asked, I wrote a new book this year. Well, last year. So this new book, so the original A.R.T book is like a workbook. It kind of tells you a little bit about history, the emotional implications, you know, because I lost my breast and I lost my nipples. So I know.
Yeah.
So what I did was I put together this book for tattooists. So it has the nipple back styles that we have.
Oh,
Has
that's
right up on what makes
cool.
it unique. And then we have like, there's the color reference, and I made it so you can fit it in a bag and have it by your station and flip it over. So there's the black and gray reference, and then there's a stencil that you can use.
Very
and
cool.
some tips on like what makes the Rebecca. So all of the nipple backs are designed by A.R.T artists. So this one, the Joe that you were just talking about, this one was designed by Stacie-Rae, who's a senior A.R.T partner.
Yeah.
Has a write-up about it, and then our black and gray reference, and then the stencil.
Yeah.
And then at the back of it, it tells you how to use them. And then at the back of it, it's got like a little write-up on each one of the artists. Like there's Stacie-Rae right there.
Oh,
So
that's so cool. That's so cool. And
really, like,
you guys have also made mounds. Oh, I'll get my thing. You've also made mounds now, or skins. So this is a skin. So this is a skin that she's made so that you can work on 2 different types. And these skins are incredibly different than any other skin out there because I really feel they have that density that scar tissue has and the
Yeah.
texture on them.
Yeah. I got a new scarred one. Let me see if I can find one.
Yeah, so these skins, so this is one of my tests that I did the other day. You'll saw it on my thing, and there's another one that I did just to add. And I use my reference from the oh wow.
We've
Oh,
got
that's
this
cool. That
color.
looks like a skin from a effects mold. It's so cool.
Because Sam used to work in special effects, so I designed it with the scar tissue and everything, and then she creates it to be really realistic and
Yeah.
stretchable. You know, they're stretchable. So we invented and patented the world's first scarred practice skin, as well as the world's first, and we have patent protection over the Fitzpatrick scales. However, as you said, we got a lot of followers trying to keep
Yeah.
up with us and copying our ideas, but is going to be actionable, and we'll take action against our little followers, you know. So but these are the highest quality I've ever seen. I can't believe the quality that Sam got out of these.
Right. And now I also have to bring up another thing because there's just so much to share with you. And you've just really changed the industry so much. You really need to take a bow there, girl. So this pink ribbon set that everybody uses in the industry. It is now a staple for skin camouflaging, for areola tattooing, scar revision. You are the mastermind behind. You brought the first ever camouflaging areola set to the world.
Yeah, that was Sam did most of the work on that. So Sam was my apprentice turned business partner, and I was like, we need to solve this problem. Women cannot go through fading nipples. They can't emotionally. I had bad nipple tattoos done on me, and it was harder on my psyche than having no nipple tattoos.
Right.
And she created a bunch of scar tissue. She just didn't know how to tattoo scar tissue, so that's where we started from. We're like, survivors deserve better, and we're going to make it happen.
Yeah, and you paired up with World Famous, which is like they're the godfathers behind PermaBlend, which we use now, which is helping all of us with all these bad tattoos from the 80s and 90s.
Yeah.
And you paired up with them. How long did it take you to complete the line from the time you thought about it until you had it to market?
Well, it took me about 2 years to even find a company that saw a need. Most companies are like, there's not enough areola tattoos. And I'm like, I was like, we have to get this change made. So it took about 2 years to find a company that would say yes.
Yeah.
And then it took about 2 years to bring it out. So I started talking to pigment makers. I started talking to different companies in 2014, and those came out in 2017.
Yeah. Now, did World Famous do everything? Do they do the packaging, the pigments, the whole?
Yeah. Sam and I just designed the colors.
Okay. So you mixed all the colors, swatched them, made sure that they were all good, and they're fantastic. And the range goes from literally from white all the way up to like a really, really dark, almost black brown. It looks almost like a black brown. Red black. It's almost kind of like a plummy. It's a plummy dark.
Yeah. So we've got in every tone, we have like a warm tone, a cool tone, and a neutral tone in every kind of like value range.
Right. And the great thing about PermaBlend as well is that you can change also the value by diluting. So you can take one color and just by diluting it, create the variations within the actual areola itself, which is really cool. Now, there's another thing that you've brought out. Now, I bet I don't have these yet. I'm sitting on so many boxes of other ones. I have to get through them. But do you have a box of your needles sitting there waiting to show?
I do. So, yeah. Okay. Thank you for saying that. Oh, my God. Thanks for bringing me on, Shauna. I didn't know you
So good. Well, your needles are amazing. I can't wait to try them. I haven't tried them yet, so I can't comment. But I know you put a lot of love and care into them and worked with Tat Soul, right?
Yeah, they asked me to do a signature series. I was like, oh my God, yes. So I've been specializing in scar tissue since the 90s. And so when Billy from Tat Soul asked me, he's like, what do you like in a needle? What do you look for? I'm like, man, I'd love to see a textured needle make a comeback. And I used to make them like this because, of course, I made my own needles for 15 years of my career. And I made them specifically for whatever scar tissue I was working in. I would manufacture, I'd do like 10 of this one, 10 of that one, specifically for the scar tissue that was coming to me. And I made a lot of mistakes in scar tissue, so that's why I'm like, I need to share this with other people to stop other people from making the same mistakes I did. It's easy mistakes to make. We think the tattooing scar tissue is easy, but it ain't. It is not. So
the hardest thing I've ever done. It's harder than lips.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. Tattooing scar tissue is still the hardest thing I've ever done. That's why I'm so engaged with it, because it's so
right.
challenging.
Can you talk a little bit about the textured versus non-textured?
Well, we decided with these ones, we went with the standard taper because a long taper or bug pin is not effective in scar tissue. It won't implant the pigment like you need it to implant. So you end up going over it and causing more trauma. So we use the standard taper on this one, but we're hoping to come out with a variable that has texture needles. So what texture will do is, because the scar tissue is usually more dense, it usually, like, if you can imagine it wiping the pigment off the needle as a needle insert.
Yeah.
So texture will kind of be a little bit more grabby to the pigment, and then actually insert that pigment to the depth that it needs to go. So you can get the pigment inserted to the depth it needs to go with fewer passes, because the extra passes are what cause the trauma to the scar tissue.
Yeah.
We have each box, there's 2 different boxes, a first pass box and a second pass box, that gives you 4 different configurations in each box for each whatever you're doing, everything that you need to achieve hyperrealism in any type of scar tissue.
Okay, and what are the needles that you have in the boxes, just so that the viewers can have a bit of an idea?
Well, for one, I want to honor Tat Soul for making these NV Gen cartridges. This little finger ledge on it really helps you be like, it gives you a lot more control and you can be more precise. But I also consider it an extra safety measure because it stops pigment from getting around the cartridge and into your rotary.
Machine. Yeah.
So we have the first pass box. We start loose and kind of big to get a basic areola shape with some dimension without causing trauma. So it's got a 3 shader instead of a liner, because a liner can tear scar tissue very easily. So we start with a 3 shader, an 8 round shader, a big curve 9 mag, and a big 13 curve mag to get that really big loose edge. And that is how you get like that's how you make it look natural in scar tissue. And then the second pass, as long as you can read if you've created more skin damage, and you can read that by texture, and I teach that in my A.R.T training. I've taught Shauna this. So the second pass box is for detailing. Once you understand that that scar will hold pigment well, then you can start buttoning up the detail and like adding like all those cool little creases and Montgomery glands that everybody's trying to, you know, replicate. And that's what occurs in real life. So the only thing that matters is that we recreate what occurs in real life.
Yeah. And how long did it take you to get the needles from concept to market?
About 1.5 years.
Oh, that's not bad.
They're big projects. Yeah, it's good though. Tat Soul's been great to work with. I can't believe that they let me. I'm like, I want these 4 cartridges and I want 2 boxes, and they're just like, okay, yeah, makes sense. I can't believe.
And you created the artwork on the on that cartridge, correct?
Yeah.
On the box. Can you show us? Because they're different, right?
Yeah. Well, it's the same artwork, different color scheme. They're it's a mastectomy mermaid.
It's so pretty.
So yeah, it's really pretty. So when you're done with your little needles, when you're done with your cartridges, you can open up the box and frame it. It's like frameable artwork. It opens right up. Cool. So it's frameable artwork that you can put on your wall. I like this because it's like kind of oceany, you know. I like for
and that's just a magnetic box, right? Is it magnetic that it opens and closes?
Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool. That's so great.
Tat Soul is like Tat Soul. These guys, Billy and his team, went above and beyond to supply the medical tattoo field with the most progressive thing they really went above and beyond so that we can achieve the best work possible for these survivors.
Now I know that some needles, some people can be sensitive to nickel in the needle. Can you share a little bit about that? And is that something that we need to be concerned about with these needles or any other needles?
I don't think so. I never actually looked into the nickel content just because when I researched the NV2 needle cartridges, and that's what it is, it's the NV needle cartridges.
Okay.
Researched them, I was like, these are the best quality out there. I'm so glad that Billy's like, we want to do a series for areolas. I'm like, thank the Lord. These are just the nicest needles out there. So even though I haven't got the nickel content, I haven't looked at what it is. I'm sure that they have it on their website. And now that
Yeah.
you've asked, maybe I'll put a little thing on my website about that as well.
Yeah. I only asked because even like I went and had some electrolysis done. And as soon as she went in and like, she's not even puncturing the skin, she's going into an actual pore, but she was using one of the stainless steel needles and I just blew up like crazy. And she's like, do you by any chance have a nickel allergy? And I was like, well, I don't wear, everything I wear is gold. And she said, oh, well, let's try a gold one on you. And so she did gold on the other side and I had absolutely no reaction. But I've never had a reaction when I'm doing my eyebrows or eyeliner or lips even. So, but if people ask, it's always good to find out, right?
Yeah.
So, dun, 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 this is why we're here. This is why we're here. So, Stacie put her heart and soul in, and I like the feathers. That's your the holistic girl in you coming out.
Yeah.
And she put together these awesome brochures that the A.R.T team can use in order to educate not only the clients, but also doctors. So can you tell us a little bit about your mission that you're on with the medical industry? Because I know here in Vancouver, Canada, the doctors or nurses are doing the work as part of the restoration, after they do the implants. I have yet to see any good work. It's so sad.
Yeah.
And I offer my first session complimentary to any survivor with a note from their oncologist. That is just me. That is my way to give back to the community. But can you just explain how we need to educate, because the medical industry just is not quite on board yet?
Yeah, well, I think it starts with the Hippocratical Oath. So doctors take an oath to do no harm, and their lack of knowledge and understanding around the tattoo field is causing harm to survivors. And I've experienced that harm myself by a nipple tattoo trainer. So the lady who tattooed my nipples was and still is training nipples without the understanding of how to implant pigment into scar tissue artistically. And it's just like there's no minimum standards, there's no requirements in this field. So they just think like it's fine, it's fine. But I'm like, but you're causing harm and it's time for that to change. So I decided to be an advocate for the survivors above all. And so that's why I have the high minimum standards. And so since the doctors and nurses are violating the Hippocratical Oath, what I want to see happen is I want to see them work with highly skilled specialists. So my goal was to create a collective of highly skilled specialists so that nobody has to question their ability, because people are taking online courses right now and they think that they don't have to take in-person training to understand scar tissue, and they're causing harm. They're harming survivors, and these survivors are coming to me and they're crumbling in my arms that their marriage fell apart because they didn't feel comfortable being intimate with their husbands.
Right.
Women are taking baths with their bra on because they hate their body this much. And tattooists, certified tattooists, are out there doing this. And I just got mad enough to start speaking up against it.
Yeah.
And I've ruffled a lot of feathers, but I kind of came here to ruffle feathers because the feathers that I'm ruffling are not as severe as the women that are being damaged. So I'm like, if the doctor wants to feel comfortable, or a nurse is like, well, I can do whatever I want. And I'm like, but you can't, because you destroyed that woman.
Yeah.
And someone has to stand up for her. So that's what I'm here for.
Yeah, because by the time, like, my mother is a 2-time cancer survivor, and I watched her go through it. I've never personally gone through it myself, but I've lost 6 of my family members, so I know cancer quite well. and the journey that they go through is so debilitating, not only to their body, but to the psyche, that they get beaten down, down, down to the point where they don't have the energy to even speak up about it. Like they're
Yeah.
just like, I
Yeah.
can't deal with it. It's too
Yeah.
much. It's too painful.
Yeah. So you got it. So that's where my passion comes from. I'm like, I got to shake these people out of this slumber. This can't be allowed to happen anymore. And since I've done everything I can with writing the book, the needles, the pigments, the like everything that we've done, the scarred practice skins, you know, which is the gold standard for training, everything that we've done is to negate the risk of somebody doing this poorly. And unfortunately, what I've seen is bandwagon jumpers, and I see more bad nipple tattoos done now than I've ever seen before.
Well, I think everybody's jumping on the bandwagon. I mean, I even get people that messaging me constantly. Like I get about, well, I can't say constantly. I get about 2 inquiries about a week, where people that have never touched a tattoo or never touched a machine, never touched skin, they all immediately want to do areolas and paramedical. And they have no clue that there's a foundation that is required in
Yeah.
learning this
Yeah.
craft. And
Yeah.
you have to know skin before you can go into these very delicate areas,
Yeah.
because scar tissue is not always really strong. Sometimes scar tissue is paper thin,
Yes.
and you can shred. Like I've
Yeah.
done it. I will always attest to it. I have used a mag on girls, and I shredded them, and because I was not aware that the tissue could be that thin, especially
Yeah.
if there's been some necrosis going on.
Yeah. Yeah. So I hold trainers accountable to this. So that's why I have high minimum standards, because I will only train, ART will only train people who have the foundation to succeed at this. And everybody else who doesn't have that foundation yet, I tell them exactly, here's what you need to work on. Just work on this for another year. Check back in with me. Here's what I want you to focus on. Develop this and this. So I'm really bothered by the trainers that are like, oh yeah, I'll train you. And they're just taking people's money.
Yeah.
And convincing them they can do this without that foundation, and they're the reason that bad nipple tattoos are being done. So I gotta point the finger back at the educators that are the educating.
Well, I turn them down, and I just tell them, I'm sorry, I'm not at that place right now where I'm able to train. I'm not, because I did sign a contract. I'm not sure how many years it was with you, but I signed a contract that I wouldn't be able to train. So I think that's coming up soon, where I'm going to be able to at least mentor people, which will be great.
Well, yeah, so here's how that works. So there is no date on that contract. However, what I say is, what I put in there is, if you do want to train, be part of what we're building.
Mm-hmm.
Because all these people just want to make a name for themselves and take money from these excited people that want to help people.
Yeah.
But we're trying to build the solution to the problems that they're creating. So I would invite you to speak with me about the role that you would want to play, and talk about, like, how do we work together to make this even better?
Yeah.
That's what build a collective. It's not about me. It's about the survivors. And when we work together, we're stronger together.
Yeah, absolutely. So where do you see, I mean, I've seen what you physically have done in the last 5 years. You've completely transformed the face of areola tattooing in our industry. Most of these newbies that are coming in, that have all this access to online training, have all this access to incredible pigments, have all this access to incredible knowledge and needles, they have no clue the journey that we've gone through as practitioners and in industry. They're coming in and they're getting the best of everything just handed to them.
Yeah.
What's some insight or maybe some information that you could give newbies to help them, siphon through all of this?
I would say slow down and enjoy the learning process. I've been in the industry for 32 years now. And I'm just like, when I look back on my first 3 years, I thought I knew everything too. And then I was like just starting to scratch the surface. And I remember back then, old timers were like, you got a tattoo for 10 years before you even know what's going on. I'm like, yeah, you do. I already bypassed. I'm doing good. I was like, I'm so good.
The ego's amazing.
Yeah, I totally thought that I had it figured out because I was doing nice work. And then it started humbling me. Tattooing is a very humbling career. And, so my goal is still going to be on minimum standards, putting the clients first. So for newbies, I would just say slow down. Now what's happening is not everybody is a team player, and I'm trying to build a team. So some of my previous students are like, I'm going to train, but I would say like also just like do your history and realize who the game changers are and see what it took to become that. Like you said, like I worked my butt off to provide these things, and it would be cool if people coming into it were like, oh, that really does take a lot, and they just slow down, don't rush through the process, don't think that online training is going to get you there. It is not enough. With scar tissue, you need in-person training with somebody who really understands how to implant pigment in this artistically in scar tissue, and there's really only a handful of people who really get it. And so just slow down and enjoy the process. Don't be in a rush, don't be competitive, support each other, lift each other up, on each other's journeys, and just really realize that you're stepping into probably the most amazing career possible, because this is an ancient career. This is an ancient art form.
Yeah, I work very hard. I mean, one of the things that, when I created Beautyink back in 2008, it was all about that, about helping the community, helping survivors, helping people that, are going through multiple disorders, diseases, all that kind of thing. That was the whole concept behind Beautyink, was for people that can't do it to have it done so that they can look beautiful all the time, right?
Yeah.
And one of the things with my business is you'll always see that I'm always reposting other people's stuff. Like I'll post A.R.T stuff, and I'll post Vicky Martin stuff, and I'll post people from the UK. And, it's like I'm always posting everybody else's things because I feel that we need to share the knowledge. And, I have 13,000 followers. So if I can get their information in front of my people, then it's going to expand the industry altogether. I don't know of anybody else in our industry that does that kind of thing. And that's fine. It's not for everybody, but my heart for this industry is in a different place. I'm not about making 6 figures a year. It's not about, all the awards you can make and the celebrity. For me, it's truly, if I wanted all that, I would have stayed in film, right?
Well, I also know something about you that most people don't know. I know that you've been doing this tattooing for what, 13 years?
Yeah.
Yeah. So over 10, there's something that happens at the 10-year mark that you really just get humbled, and all you really care about is preservation of the industry and helping other people that you don't get in that first 10 years. And it doesn't really, so what we have is we have a lot of competition. So so if you don't mind, I'd like to try and inspire something else. So what you see is a lot of areola tattooing. Now that we've made it a thing, now I see a lot of people wanting to add it, but it's not a beauty service. It's not a PMU service. Cosmetic tattooing is here up, and then I'm from the body tattoo world, which is here down. And so we see a lot of scar tissue. We tattoo a lot of scar tissue. Paramedical tattooing needs to be, in my opinion, needs to be separated from PMU tattooing. It's not considered a part of body tattooing, even though it's on the body. And it shouldn't be considered a part of PMU tattooing because that's on the face over a bone structure with healthy tissue. So what I'd like to see is the respect that comes from time, like you've invested time, you've seen this industry grow. There wasn't a lot of PMU artists when you started in this. There was hardly any. It wasn't really an industry yet.
Yeah.
I keep saying I'd like to see, so we got PMU and we need some mastery here, or we have body tattooing, like traditional tattooing, we needed some mastery here. And I would love to see paramedical tattooing its own thing that you could branch up to from either of these foundations. Once you have a strong foundation in healthy tissue, then you get to be like, okay, now I'm gonna look into paramedical tattooing, and just having that respect for that growth process and how difficult it is, so that you minimize your chance of making mistakes. So all you're going to do is good work. That's all we want to do anyway.
Right? Because you do. I mean, no matter what and how much practice you do on silicone, there's always going to be that room for error. It just happens.
Well, the silicone doesn't. Yeah, silicone doesn't have to go through a healing process.
And every single areola scar tissue is different. Like on some people, I can use pointillism, and on other people, pointillism doesn't work, and I have to use a curve mag. So it takes a long time, and it's not like you've got like 50 million people lined up your door. Like you may only see some scar tissue, maybe, you know, once every few weeks, maybe once a month. It's not like you're going to have 5 people in a month. You know? It just,
Yeah.
you know, and because we don't get a lot of the doctor referral yet, there's not that respect there. It's not like, you know, the plastics are going to say, hey, go see, you know, Shauna at Beautyink and she can fix that scarring around your, like, it just doesn't happen. So unless we continue to show and educate, you know, and look at what Jody Stowski's done with her paramedical, you know, class. She's now given a platform with her paramedical tattooing, so people that are educated practitioners can learn this type of thing and get the groundwork so that, you know, then they can start to work on people, especially in a time of COVID. I think that's just kind of where everything's going to be.
Yeah. We just can't do it with scar tissue. Jody's a previous student of mine. As you know, I trained her the same year that I trained you.
Yeah.
And we just can't take online training only with scar tissue. That is going to lead to a lot of mistakes being done in people. It's going to lead to a lot of, like, we just want to reduce risk, and that's going to create risk. So
yeah,
anybody looking into getting this stuff, there's a lot of, you know, pretty online courses, and they will help you a lot.
yeah,
But nothing will replace in-person training. You need to be looking at the same scar in the same light with a master who knows how to implant pigment artistically. There's no substitute.
Now, where do you see the industry going in the next 5 years? Like, I mean, it's gone, like, it's jumped rainbows.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it blows my mind, really.
Yeah. Okay, so here's what I'd like to see happen. So traditional tattooers, even hairdressers, go to school for a year and a half. So what I'd like to see happen is, because I see a lot of 5-day PMU tattooing that, no, you can't learn that in 5 days.
No.
So what I'd like to see happen is I'd like to see people offer more time and training and support for the same amount of money without increasing tuition.
Yeah.
And give like ideally it would be great to see at least 6 weeks.
That's what I do.
Practicum, yeah, plus a practicum for PMU training, and so have some regulation and some minimum standards in there. I'd like to see 5 days on eyebrows, 5 days on lips, 5 days on eyeliner,
Yeah.
5 days needles, and sterile practices, you know. So what I see happening is I see some regulation and an expansion, so more responsibility, less crash course, 2-day microblading, scar people up kind of stuff. Like, I'd like to see more dedication to mastery and more dedication to foundation.
Yeah.
And more respect for this trade. It's a trade. It's not a 5-day course. This is a trade we're learning, right? And people take this like 5-day course and they're like, okay, I'm a beautician and a tattoo artist and a businesswoman in 5 days.
I know, right? And that's the other thing people don't understand, that it's not just doing the art. God, I wish it was. Oh, God. But you also have to be a social media expert. You need to be your own admin person. You need to be a receptionist. You need to, you know, like, do all your orders. Like, I mean, there's so much to this industry that when newbies see girls like you and I, who are, you know, trailblazers in our own rights, and that we're doing it all, and they think, oh, I want to be just like you. But they don't understand the amount of sacrifice and hard work. And
my knowledge cost me my breasts and my entire life. Like, I've been focused on this career since I was 14 years old. So my entire life and my breasts, when it was my investment into this world. So what I like the idea of, every subject matter expert is the leader in that part. So I am the leader in breast cancer tattooing. I don't think there's anyone who knows more about breast cancer tattooing than I do.
I don't think there is either.
Article educated, losing my breast, you know, focusing on decorative tattoos and scar tissue for 22 years. Like there's just that's unmatchable. So given all of that learning, there should be, I'm like the leader in that part of things. Instead of people being like a jack of all trades. Now, Sheila Bella is really doing this really cool thing with teaching people how to do all the social media stuff and planning. So that's the leader in that. So when you need to fill that social media gap, that's the person who's like, she knows it. She's so good. She's so inspiring, right? And then you've got like, there's like Lulu Siciliano is doing the lips. She's doing a lot of leadership in lips. So great. She's a subject matter expert in that. So what I'd like to see is more of a hierarchy where we're like, okay, we got like this person is like, they figured this out, subject matter expert. This person has figured this out. And then kind of have the stuff under that rather than the jack of all trades stuff that you don't really get to master anything. So what I try to do in my life, just because I love learning, I'm a student of life, I try to learn something new every winter, something completely new that I've never learned before. Like a couple of winters ago, I learned archery. I spent the winter learning archery, and I spent one winter learning Reiki, and I'm a Reiki master. So just honoring that kind of that path to mastery and that becoming of who you were meant to become, and just slowing down and focusing on like one really cool thing until you're like, I've learned everything I can learn right now about this really cool thing.
Yeah.
And sit in that for a bit and apply it and integrate it, and then like be like, okay, I'm ready to learn more. And maybe the next year you're like, I want to learn all this mastery about like the Will Anthony shadow
Yeah.
like some really cool, I don't do PMU, but I like just watching what people are doing and what they're mastering and how they become that master.
Right. Well, I mean, I know how much time and energy I put into, my scalp work and understanding scalps and creating my manual technique and doing all that jazz. And it took me 2 years just to find a place where I could get my needles made. Like it was really hard. And, it's definitely not an easy field, but going back to the education, I think, personally what I'd like to see is stop of this piecemealing BS crap training out there and get stuff that is, longer. But as a trainer, as a CPCP trainer with a class that is literally 6 weeks long, people, when they call me and they're talking, they want to know about it. My class, sure, it's $69.95, but you've got 6 weeks of full education and you're learning the full foundation, and everybody's like, oh well, I can go learn it for 3 days for $3,500. I'm like, be my guest.
So I really wish that those people wouldn't tattoo. And I know this is a harsh thing, and this is where I come in and I ruffle feathers. However, if you think that something this sacred and this difficult can be learned in 3 days, then maybe this career for you. I know that's what it comes down to. That's what's so unfortunate about it. Yeah.
And they're all sponsored artists and they're on the A team and blah 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 for these big companies, like not world famous, but I mean like companies that are known all around the world, and these artists are on there. I mean, and I'm watching them, and I see on their Instagram that they don't even have their clip cords and their machines covered, and I'm like going, you're training. And when I messaged them and I said, oh, by the way, I happen to notice in your little clip on IG that you don't have any of your clip cords. Oh, well, I don't touch any of my equipment. And I'm like, yeah, but you're doing bloodborne pathogens, like are contamination control. Like, are you trained in bloodborne pathogens? And they were like, mind your own business. I don't need training wheels. That's for kids. That was what I was told.
Yeah, the defensiveness comes from the insecurity that comes from a lack of understanding. And so you can identify it really easily for what it is. And the thing is like, here's what's happening, because there's no regulation. I would love to inspire regulation. Like I said, my ideas for it are, the 2 years for tattoo, at least 18 months for a tattoo apprenticeship. I would say I'd love to see an 18-month PMU training. I really would. Yeah. And because then, when you leave that training, you are going to know, like, you're going to do great work. You're going to build a great business. You're going to understand so much more. Yeah. And then needing 3 years of experience in either of those before you can go into paramedical. Right. And paramedical being the same thing, being like,
oh, yeah. I love that model. I love
Yeah.
that model.
Yes, I have an approach to paramedical tattooing that's going to be very unique. I'm writing a new manual that I can't share because every time I share anything, people
I
just
know.
copy, like you say. Because I had two different people take my digital class, and then within 3 months, they made their own digital class. I'm like, this is just plagiarism. You didn't even learn this stuff. And people are training who don't actually have any mastery in this. I know one girl in Alberta hasn't even really been doing this work. Like, she hasn't even been at it long enough to make mistakes. And I'm like, what are you even teaching? You're just teaching what other people have told you. Like this, we just really I'd love to see some minimum standards.
Yeah, I know that Mandy Solers has some, she's good for that. She works alongside doctors with hospitals, and
Yeah.
I've never taken any of her classes, but I know that she's a strong advocate for all of that type of thing as well, which is really
Yeah.
great. Um,
Yeah. I
I-
coached her a little. Used a few of my ideas and implemented some of my ideas. I wanted to work with her, and she just wanted to do her own thing. But yeah, I coached Mandy a little bit, and like I was like, we're creating excellent artists. That's the
right.
only thing that
Now, with
matters.
your online class, okay, what's your minimum and what comes with your online class? Because I haven't taken it, so I don't know if you get, do you get a mound and goodies and needles and da 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 da, or what? Tell us
Yeah,
about that.
so we sent out like a little package for the first 50 people, but now what I did was I reduced the price a little bit so people can just buy what they want as they go, and then I give them links to here's like the best of this and this, and here's what I recommend for art supplies and blah blah blah. So I don't believe that any online course will actually teach you how to tattoo, any tattooing.
Mhm.
But if you are about to take a in-person training, it'll set you up better for it. Or if you've already taken in-person training, it'll enhance your knowledge around what you've learned in person. So I really focus on the history, the emotional application, and creating a realistic nipple and understanding more about scar tissue. So when you do take that in-person training, it makes sense.
Right. Now, if somebody wants to get I guess you only give your books to people that are part of the AR team?
No, no, I sold out. I'm just selling out my sixth edition right now, and I'm about to actually, here's something that nobody knows. I'm rewriting it to be available on Kindle
Oh, cool. That's
rather than
cool.
being in person. But Kingpin Tattoo Supply is just, they're just posting my last 20 actual books are going to be available on Tat Soul and Kingpin
20
here. And
books? 20?
that's all we got left.
Oh,
So,
meaning 20 of the little booklets itself.
yeah. But
Oh,
these
okay,
ones,
okay.
this one is like this one that I was talking about earlier
Yeah,
with
because
the
you
this
have
one
your
with the
other one as well that I have that
I've got a
kind of
lot of these.
is a guide by guide. When I got my class took with you, I had that little booklet that you made,
Yeah.
that's kind of a step by step. So this is kind of an upgrade from that.
This one is very focused on reference on how did we get that look? How did artists achieve that look? Because what I find a lot of people doing this work have no artistic background, and that's the most important part. It's the most important part after understanding how to implement pigment in scar tissue.
Yeah. Now, which color theory classes do you recommend? Because you need color theory when you're doing this kind of thing.
Yeah, I've got a different approach to color because than PMU artists because I'm a body tattoo artist. And so the way that I see it is I'm like the body tells you what you need. The body tells you everything you need to know. You have to know how to look for it. You have to know how to read what the body is telling you. So as you know, that's what I teach. This is what the body is telling you because every skin tone has like I've got like three or four. I got freckles, so I've got three or
Yeah.
four kind of
And look
variables
how
in
much
every skin
violet
tone.
you have in your skin. You're very alabaster and violet. And look how, I'm very
Yeah.
yellow and very warm.
Yes, exactly.
Yet we
So
have very
there's
similar hair color.
yeah.
So,
So I feel like color theory. Like I took a color theory class with Pat Gauthier back
yeah.
in. Sorry if I'm not saying her name right.
Yeah.
Back in
Gautier.
2010, and I was like, because I'm a body tattoo artist, I'm like, when I learned, I was like, oh my God, you guys really like have a completely different approach. I was amazed at how in depth you guys go into it. However, I find that for restorative tattooing, you need to have that. That's part of the foundation that you need to have. But when you get into restorative tattooing, you kind of have to let it go a little bit and just allow the body to show you what that body needs.
Right.
So it's a really different approach, you know. So
Yeah, yeah, it very much is. Now, do you find that it's a lot different tattooing somebody that's a fits 1-2 opposed to somebody that's a 5, a 5-6?
So I don't think about that stuff. I just sit in that moment with that person in that light source and start reading what the body is telling me. But because I've been drawing realism and doing realism for a good 20, 30 years or whatever, I really I've just really learned how to, the language of it and how to translate that. It's about reading the language, understanding the language, knowing the translation, like learning like German or Spanish, you know, like I feel like it's a visual language that we have to learn the translation. And that's what I teach. And that's where A.R.T comes from. So I really try to get out of the book smarts part because I find it'll really limit your thinking because you think about right or wrong. But when it translation, there's no real right or wrong. There's like a good way to do it and a way that doesn't work as much. It's a completely different approach, and it's kind of hard to put into words, but there's a lot to know.
Well, you're seeing, like, I just watched that interview with Tess, and she was going on about how melanin makes the skin so much tougher. And, when you're doing, strong melanin lips, that they're much tougher. And I'm just wondering, because it's both mucous membrane, do you find that same type of translation with areola tattooing, that people with fits 5s and 6s are tougher and thicker in their skin?
Well, because the skin cells are denser. So my skin cells are like transparent, like a light skin. Like my skin is going to receive pigment completely different than a darker skin tone. There's more density to it. I know that's hard to put into words, and it's hard to put into
melanin. It's kind of almost
feel it.
Yeah.
Yeah, like my skin feels more like this skin here, especially like this is going to feel more like tissue paper than somebody with dark skin feels more like leather. Like there's so many differences other than just a fit scale or just this or just the melanin. There's so many elements. How much sun has that person seen? How's that person's diet? Because vegans are going to have way less collagen in their skin. What's this person's diet like? What are they on blood thinners? There's so many variables. That's why the mastery is so important, because there's no set of rules that will make sense to every client.
Right. And do you find that the taper of the needle, like, do you find that, with the thicker skin, do you have a tendency to go more into a longer taper? I'm hearing that, it's better to have a longer taper and a harder hit when you got tougher skin. But do you find that with different Fitzpatrick types that matters, or do you find a standard taper is pretty good for everybody?
So I feel like, if I was tattooing, like body tattooing on somebody with really dark skin, I would go for a textured needle, because like I said about the dense fibrous scar tissue, is if the skin molecule has a little bit more density to it, then a longer taper isn't going to be able to get to it's not going to be able to force the pigment to the depth that it needs to go to retain. So just coming from a body artist point of view, we have a very different approach from you guys. And I don't love long tapers. They don't really get the job done. Then what I find I'm seeing happen is people are going over it and over it and over it. And if it's scar tissue, which if there's a mastectomy, all of that skin has been peeled back from the underlying tissue, which has been removed. It is all scar tissue. Even if it looks healthy from the outside, it's not. It's never going to have the blood flow.
Point.
Scar tissue. So I don't love a long taper unless you're doing like black and gray photorealism, like David Varga, for example. So if you watch the way that he works, on healthy skin, you can get away with it, but on damaged skin, you can't. Every single person is going to be different. We have to know how to read the body in front of us to know how to tattoo the body in front of us.
Yeah, I always do the pinch test, and people are like, what are you doing? And I want to feel like, they're like, well, what are you feeling for? I'm like, well, I'm feeling for the density of your tissue, because I'm really thick. Like, I've got thick, tough skin, being Irish, you know. So I always do this pinch, and then that gives me a good gauge on what needle to work. Oh, thanks, FY. We got FYT here. Hello, hello, guys. We love your needles. I know you're a Tat Soul girl, but FYT makes really great needles. I'm just saying.
Yes.
But yeah, I use the pinch test, and it tells me a lot because, you know, if I pinch them, I know that they're going to be really tough on the outside and meaty on the inside. Then I know that I need to work much finer with my needle, opposed to somebody, you know, that's got really thin skin.
Yeah. And then age makes a big difference because your skin changes as you age. Weight makes a big difference. You know, like
Mhm.
there's all
sun
I have is
damage.
variables. Yeah.
Sun damage is tough
Yeah.
skin to get
Yeah.
through.
That's probably why you're so much thicker than me, because I've been like hiding from the sun my whole life, and it shows. It shows by the
Oh.
smile I have.
Yeah, and I love the sun. I can't handle the sun anymore though. When I was on my trip, I had my hat on, my t-shirt, my pants. I was swimming in the water, fully covered, neck wrapped. I can't handle it anymore, but you know, it's amazing how your body changes. And also, do you find that women, like with the hormone levels, do you find that that affects the results or the pigment? Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yes. There's just so many variables. You just
I
have to
know.
have a really strong foundation in all of these variables before you go into damaged skin, right? Um, so yeah, I tattooed somebody recently that was on blood thinners, and she has a halo around her tattoo because um, the body was like, it like sucked up those little pigment particles. It's like kind of bled out a little bit. Like,
Yeah.
I know there's a more scientific way to say this, but just like for
Well, I
layman
think the
terms,
blood carries it in the skin. I really do.
yeah,
That's
there's just everything is gonna play a little bit of a role, and even a nominal change, like a 10%, a 5% difference.
yeah.
Um, that 5% difference will affect your outcome. And that's why I keep saying like mastery is so important. You have to know so much on healthy skin before you go into damaged skin.
Yeah.
And then be a completely different game when you're in damaged skin. Like there's just variables. So I don't really love the idea of having like this works in this and that works in that, because all there is variables and there's no rules. That means there's no rules, in my opinion.
So are you coming out with any kind of aftercare? Because right now I do the Tegaderm. I do the Tegaderm for a week. I found a week, and if I have a slow healer, I'll have them even keep it on for 10 days. Then I
Yeah.
have them remove it and start using some membrane aftercare gel, which helps to nourish the skin. What's your take on aftercare, and is A.R.T going to be coming out with an aftercare line?
You're such a jerk. It's a secret.
Oh, I'm sorry. More to come. More to come.
More to come. Yes.
Awesome. Well, that's exciting.
There's,
But do you
there's
do you do the
actually a lot
Tegaderm
more.
too?
Pardon?
Do you do the Tegaderm as well?
Yeah, remember I taught you about it a little bit if you hadn't already been
Know
using it.
that. I'm asking for our viewers.
20 years. Yeah, I've been using it for 20 years. We had a roundtable discussion at the All Female Tattoo Artist Convention in Orlando in 2000 with OSHA trainers and a bunch of us tattoo girls. In 2000, they were like, okay, let's sit around. Like, it's made for second degree burn victims. It's waterproof, permeable, breathable. You know, I started using it back then, and I stopped having to do touch-ups. So, you know what I do that I don't really tell anybody is even when I do skin condition improvement, I make people wear Tegaderm. I'm like, I know that you have a life to live, but if you can leave this crap on your face for a few days, you're gonna get such better results. And the ones that commit to that get way better results. I love Tegaderm,
I
but
do
I
too.
it doesn't work for everybody. So
Right.
it's like, you got to know about the product to be able to warn your clients on what is good and what isn't. But I love
Yeah.
it. Great
And a
product.
good also little hack. You can put Tegaderm over top of these. You trim around the outside, stick them on, and then trim around your Tegaderm a little bit wider and stick it on, and you get more longevity out of these suckers.
Oh, ever before. I made those, I started designing those in 2010 or 2009, and I started manufacturing them in 2012, and I never heard that trick.
Oh, well, but I'm Shauna McGrath. Don't you know? It's the effects artist in me, because when we're on set, and we, like, for instance, I was in a scene where literally the girl all day, she was full prosthetics, and all day long she had to go into the water, and the pieces were popping off like left, right, and center. So basically I would spray offsite the skin first, then I would glue the piece on, and then I would throw some Tegaderm over top of it just to seal it, and as a layer of seal, and it held. It
Yeah,
holds.
it
So
makes sense. Yeah, thank you for
yeah.
sharing that. How
Do you
did I
ever
not?
use the offsite spray at all, or is it only the film?
I haven't used the spray because we have clothing on a
Right.
protruded area, and I just don't. I feel like the spray might wear off. Like it makes sense on the face or on the arm, but not
Yeah.
where bra has to go onto. Or if there's no bra, you know, a lot of our clients don't wear bras, but every time they reach for something, they got that like rubbing, that little bit of friction.
Yeah. Okay. I'm just wondering. I know what I know, but I'm asking the questions for our viewers so that we can give more knowledge. Stacie, I want to thank you so much. You have just poured your heart and soul into this. It was a very impromptu interview. I'm so glad that we did it. I want to thank you so much again for my amazing care package with all of these incredible goodies.
All
I can't wait. If people want to purchase nipple backs or get some of these brochures, how can, or your online class, can you tell us a little bit more about how they can learn more and become part of the team?
Thank you. Thank you. So I just redid Stacie-Rae.com as STACIE hyphen RAE.com, but you have the hyphen in there. So Stacie-Rae.com just got rebuilt, and you can buy everything that I have available pretty much from there, or there's links to where to buy it. So Hive Beauty up in Edmonton sells all our products. Right now, currently, they are our only distributor. Sam and I would have loved to distribute, but we got to focus on the creation side of things, and distribution was just we had to Amanda Rose took it off of our hands, and now we're gonna A.R.T products are gonna be available at Kingpin Tattoo Supplies, Tat Soul, and Barbara DTS is selling our needles now. So the next thing we're gonna have them over in Europe and England. Um,
Yeah.
so all of the things that I package up and from my little home office and I ship out with love is available on Stacie-Rae.com.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time. I hope that we've given everybody some value. I'm going to repost this and share it so we can get more people with more knowledge. Again, Stacie is a pioneer in the industry. She has an incredible online class. If you're looking to upgrade your skills with areolas, she offers these nipple back tattoos, which are incredible. She has practice pads that you can learn from, as well as molds of breast mounds and scars. She's the pioneer behind the pink ribbon set from World Famous. So you, my dear, are a legend. It is as simple as that. You will always have a crown in my eyes. I'm going to start to cry now. You've changed my life. I'm very grateful for everything you've done for me. And I continue to support you and watch your inherent success. I hope you have lots of fun on Clubhouse and you learn like crazy. Enjoy it. And I look forward to meeting you and seeing you on there.
Thank you, Shauna. All the love to you. I'm glad you're on the team. You're helping us educate others, and I'm really grateful for you. I'm really grateful. Thank you for showing up.
Oh, my pleasure. And if anybody wants any information, please feel free to direct message me, direct message Stacie, follow Areola Restorative Tattooing on Instagram. And if you know people that are cancer survivors, please have them look out for an Areola restorative tattoo specialist. It is on the website. And there's also nickelbacks.com. Are the links to the artists on Nickelbacks?
Yes, there is a link. Nickelbacks, you're so cute.
I
That's a
know.
bad.
My dyslexia, I'm just hopeless sometimes.
This one is missing something. Here's your nipple back.
Yeah, here's your nipple back. So, okay, cool. Well, awesome. Thank you again. Have yourself a fantastic day. Keep pioneering through. I know it sucks sometimes because, as I say, being a pioneer, we're the ones that get all cut up and wounded we take all the hits, as we're forging through the forest to pave the way for everybody else. But, I respect you and give you tremendous accolades for everything that you've done to revolutionize our industry, the medical industry, and cancer survivors all around the world.
Thank you, Shauna. Thank you, everybody. It's so nice to see you.
Yeah, thanks so much, guys, for tuning in. And we are here. Just drop us a line. I'll say goodbye for now. Have a great day.